Hi, this is David, and I wanted to do a video. I've said it many times to all of you that I was a Mormon for 50 years, and then I was a Christian for about a year after I left the Mormon church, and then since then I've been atheist. Yes, I'm of the devil, and I don't have garments and the rest of it. I wanted to talk today on Jesus Christ. And I want people to know that Jesus doesn't have a monopoly on the way to treat people. There's been Hindus and Buddhists and Muhammad who have all indicated the 10 Commandments and other good ways of living with each other. I don't disavow any of that to Jesus. I just say, well, Jesus said those were good things to do. I find that they're good things to do. And I live my life according to those dictates and to those ideologies. I have no problem with that. Now last night I got thinking, here's what I have a problem with. You know, all of you, I'm 64 years old. I've had quad bypass surgery. I'm diabetic, and I'm bipolar. Other than that, I'm feeling pretty damn good. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be serious here, and you can see I'm mentally ill. I cannot even be serious on a serious subject. But here's what I was thinking. Jesus died when he was 33. Now, to me, at my age, 33 is pretty young. You know, that's half the distance to my youth, and twice as far to retirement if you're 33. Now, here's what I've been taught in the Mormon church, and it's probably as true as the rest of it. I don't know. But the idea that Jesus came here as the Son of God, there was no sperm and there was no penis that created him, that his mother was a virgin and gave birth, that there's no evidence or video cameras like Bigfoot that he walked on water. And then when he was resurrected, no one saw him. The stone was moved, and the lady, Mary, I guess, was guarding the tomb. She says, someone's taken my master. And then, he walked through the walls where the disciples were. There were plenty of doors, plenty of windows. He could have knocked on. But no, he wants to walk through the wall. And they had to test his arms and see that he had been truly crucified. Now, here's kind of where I'm coming from. Again, the left side of my brain has turned on. First of all, Christ was crucified, which was a form of capital punishment under the rule of the Romans. Tens of thousands of people were crucified during this occupation of Jerusalem. And Christ was no different than any of the others. Others, I'm sure, were made fun of. In those days, my understanding of crucifixion is they were naked. They just hung there naked and bled to death. Now, the best information, and this is wide open to discussion, Christ was put on the cross about 10 a.m. and was taken off right about 3. So he suffered, 7 hours or so, according to the Bible. And here's my point. The entire Christian world says, oh, what a terrible death. Was it? Was it? I worked in nursing homes a couple of years when I was younger. And there was a lady in, not mission home, oh God, lightning, the Danites. I worked in a nursing home. Did I say a mission home? I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. But I worked in nursing homes. And I was like an aide and cleaned people up and fed them and that kind of stuff. Well, we had a lady in there that had no arms and no legs. And she cried and screamed all day long, 24/7. And she'd been doing that. I was there, she'd been doing that for like 6 or 7 years before I got there. And then all the time I was there, and I would go to the nurses and I'd say, well, isn't there anything we can do for her? I said, no, the doctor has to come in and give her more medication. Do you think that was more painful and more difficult to endure than a crucifixion? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. Crucifixion is not a comfortable death, to say the least. To say the least, and I have sympathy for that. And certainly, if you drowned, you're gone in 2 or 3 minutes. And if Christ was up there 7 hours, many of the people that were crucified there were for 1 to 3 days. It took them to die. My point is this: there's no way that Jesus, the Son of God, could go to that lady that was in the nursing home and say, I know what it's like to suffer. I was crucified. She's going to say, you know what? Screw you. I spent 10 or 15 years of the latter part of my life in such severe pain that I screamed and I screamed and I screamed. Take your Jesus pain and put it where the sun don't shine. Now, that's just one example. You know as well as I do that we've all met people with in comas and head injuries and, impalements and all kinds of terrible pain and death. I'm saying that Jesus didn't have the worst death in the world. He certainly had a painful and a difficult death, but nothing like some of the humans that have been here on this planet. Take a look at a war, hand-to-hand combat, and people not having medical attention or just being left in the field to die. Take a look at the people in Hiroshima and the radiation burdens that some of them still have today. So I'm not belittling or deflecting that Jesus did die an uncomfortable death in the world's society. The most uncomfortable death, I'm going to debate till I drop dead. It wasn't that painful compared to some of the pain I've seen other people in. Now, I know a little bit about pain. If you've had quad bypass surgery, what they do is they take a saw from the bottom of your throat all the way basically by your belly button, and they cut your breastbone wide open so your ribs just fall apart. And then the doctor can get in and do the surgical procedure, and then they cut a vein out of your leg and then paste it in and sew it into the bypass area. And then they put the breastbone back together, and they put staples on it, metal staples and rings to hold it together so that hopefully it'll grow back. Now, I'm not comparing that pain to the cross. The first 2 or 3 days or weeks that I was out of that operation, OxyContin was my best friend. I'm telling you, the pain, I couldn't breathe. That's typical of suffocation, is the real cause of death on the cross. I couldn't cough, and if I threw up, I thought I'd rather die. There was so much pain there. I couldn't roll over in bed. I couldn't even get into bed. I couldn't get up to go to the bathroom. So I'm not an expert on pain, but I am an expert on what I've seen. And Jesus dying on the cross, yeah, a bad situation, but nowhere near the worst situation that many human beings here go through. Now, some of the other doctrines that I was taught as a Mormon cult member is that Jesus knows us well. He knows everything about us, what we were before, where we're going, and he actually has a knowledge of whether we're going to make it back to his kingdom to live with him. And he knows everything about being human because he was down here being human. There's 2 things here that I want to bring up. Number one, if you've never been the opposite sex, I've never been a woman. Until I am a woman, for me to say I know how they feel, I know how they think, is bullshit. I don't. If you're a woman and you've never been a man, you have no idea what it's like to be a man. So for me to reach any kind of a perfection level under Mormonism, you got to be both sexes, and homosexuality doesn't count here. The other thing is that Jesus was 33. Well, when I was 33, I was still running and shooting baskets, and I could drive from BYU to California in one sitting, 11, 12 hours. You know, I only got out for fuel, and I peed in the McDonald's cup and threw it out the window. I drove straight on through. At 33, it's very different than now being 63, 64. I've experienced now the things Jesus never experienced, okay? I've experienced divorce on more than one occasion. I've experienced kids that are trash, that I've worked with and tried to be a good father, and they're just trash. The Mormon church has made them trash. They weren't born trash, and I didn't raise them to be trash, but the cult got them better than I got them. Jesus didn't have that, okay? Jesus didn't have 2 or 3 wives that he had to deal with and or child support, and he would have had to be in the carpentry shop a little longer every day to pay child support. Jesus never drove a car. Jesus never, I don't know, maybe he danced. I was a BYU ballroom dance person, and maybe at that wedding he went to where he turned the wine into water, or vice versa, maybe he danced. I don't know. But I'm saying that he never grew old. Jesus doesn't know what it's like to have all of his hair fall out and everyone go, "Hey, what?" And little kids going, "Where'd your hair go?" "Oh, it fell out." Jesus never had to experience that. Jesus never had to experience being overweight. He never had to go on an Atkins diet or some other kind of a diet. He never had that experience, okay? He probably never had hemorrhoids. I don't know. In ancient Judea, were hemorrhoids common? I don't know. But I do know that he never faced growing old in a human body. If you're over 33 years old, you know more than Jesus does about human bodies. He's never had to have open heart surgery. He's never had to have medications to stay alive. He's never had to have the experience of losing his eyesight, his hearing, his balance, and being overweight and being less active and impotence. He's never experienced old age. So how much respect do I have, if I did believe in Jesus, for him? Should I say, "Oh, he knows. He's the magic Jesus"? You know what? I'm so sick of magic crap in the Mormon church. I'm not willing to accept magic crap in Christianity either. You know, I never saw a person walk on water. Now, if you had a video camera, maybe I would, but you don't. So he's never experienced this, and for Mormons or even Christians to say, "Well, Jesus knows how you feel," I say, bullshit. He doesn't have any idea what it's like to grow old and to think of your impending death and the fear. Well, yeah, I would say fear. Most people have fear of dying. I've lost that in the last year or two with atheism. I've lost that. But I spent most of my life fearing death, and I'm sure most of you watching this video fear death. He didn't. He knew, evidently, where he was going. He knew who he was. He knew the past, the future, the present. He never lived with that fear. So for him or you to tell me he knows how humans feel, baloney. He doesn't. Now, one more thing I guess that I would put in here, maybe this is the frosting on the cake. I've raised a lot of human beings. I've got 14 kids and 3 or 4 wives, and those were like kids too, to tell you the truth. I have learned that when humans make mistakes, within certain boundaries now I'm not going to be way out here and the Mormons are going to do one of these attacks, wears his garments, he's an apostate. Most humans learn by making mistakes. As we make mistakes, we begin to realize the consequences of those mistakes, and most humans take that into evaluation of whether they want to repeat that behavior. Now, my littlest one, I bought her a fish. She wanted a pet. We're not allowed to have pets. And so I bought her a fish, her first pet. Well, all the other kids, they're outside, they're walking their dog and their cat, and you know, they have pets. Well, my little precious 9-year-old came into me yesterday. She said, "Dad, is it okay if I take my fish for a walk?" I go, I've never heard of such a thing. I've never heard of anyone taking a fish for a walk. And I said, "Well, honey, the fish has to stay in the water." She says, "Oh, I know. I'm just going to carry the bowl." So she got equal child status in our neighborhood because she now has a pet and she takes it for a walk. All right, I'm used to seeing human beings learn. And I told her, I said, you know, if your fish water gets cold, because it's 22 degrees outside, Mr. Fish is going to do that, and he's going to float to the top, and you better believe in the resurrection. She said, well, I'm just going to take him for a few minutes. And she did, and the fish survived and came back. So my point is this. I've raised humans, and I've been human. I was raised, I had decent parents, and they taught me, and I made mistakes, and I learned from my mistakes. Well, Jesus and the atonement is about the biggest piece of smoke and mirrors I have ever heard or seen. I can't get a Catholic, a Baptist, a Mormon, an atheist, anyone to explain to me how Jesus can suffer for other people's sins, that he was perfect and God sent him here and some magic way, I don't know if it was gas or if it was listening to all of the stories of our sins. How the hell could one human being take on the sins of others? Now, let me tell you something as a father. If Allison took her fish for a walk and I told her, don't let it get cold, and it comes back laid over dead, if I was her Jesus, I would go, that's okay, and I would just wave my hand over it, and the fish would start swimming again. Well, would Allison continue then to take her fish for a walk in cold weather? You bet your ass she would, because there's no consequence. No consequence. So don't tell me about the atonement, because you can't. That he suffered, that he bled on Gethsemane, drops of blood, because I don't know, was the trees or the air or telepathy getting him in the Gethsemane garden there? How does a person take upon the sins of other persons, and even if he could, should he? Do we learn? So if we're out screwing and drinking and shooting drugs and snorting cocaine and just stealing and lying and being bastards on the earth, as long as we believe and we have faith, and of course Mormons, they believe in repentance and work, but the other religions is by grace that Jesus is going to pay for all of those sins. Well, what kind of people are going to be in heaven? They're going to be whores, they're going to be pimps, they're going to be lying, cheating, stealing, Ponzi. I don't want to be with that group, because Jesus paid for their sins and they didn't learn shit. So as an atheist, I think about these things and I say, he never grew old, so he's not going to tell me what it's like, the pain that I had with bypass quad surgery. He doesn't know. He has a penis. He's not going to tell my children or my wife what it's like to have a vagina, because he doesn't know. Now, all of you that are Christians, and especially the Mormons who watch this, you're going to go into the magic. You're going to go into the Joseph Smith hat and the seer stone, and God's ways are not our ways, and we don't understand God, and in the millennium this will all be straightened out. And you know, if you believe that way, fine. I don't. I have a right to my opinion. I have a right to my intelligence and to the way I see the world. And gold plates missing and Jesus' body missing is too coincidental for me. No, it's too coincidental. Feeding 10,000 people, not including children, with 5 loaves of bread and 10 fish or whatever, you know, McDonald's can't do that. Oh, but he was Jesus. He could magic. See, I'm out of the magic business, people. I'm out of the magic. If I've prayed all the years I was a Mormon and a Christian to Jesus, and I've had problems and leaned upon his judgment, he never appeared. He never spoke to me. Oh, but see, the Mormons, they're going to go, well, see, he works behind the scenes. When something good happens, it's because he did it. And if something bad happens, it's because you didn't have enough faith. Well, if you guys want to believe that, you live your life like that, I don't really care. I'm not afraid of death anymore. If Jesus meets me, I'll say, you know what? Send me over there. I don't want to be with you. I'm not into walking on water and crucifixions and stories. I'm not into it. I'm into scientific research, and the people that you have forgiven for their sins and people that you atoned for their sins, if they live with you, I don't want to be there either. They're liars, they're cheaters, they're whores, they're drug addicts. They're people who are mean, ugly, hateful. Sounds a little bit like the Mormons, not all of it. But anyway, I'm just going to tell Jesus, hey, you're a bad father. You didn't pay child support. You never answered my prayers or anybody else's prayers. There are always magic things that you did in the background, but you were brave enough to come to the earth and hang around on a cross and let everyone see you. But since then, no one has heard or seen from you since. No one. Except Joseph Smith. So that's kind of where I am. I don't think Jesus can take on anyone's sins. And if he does, those people aren't worth living around because they never learn shit. I don't believe that Jesus was born to a woman who never had a penis in her. I've never seen it. And it's too much with the gold plates missing and him missing out of the tomb. It's way too much that he goes like a lamb to the slaughter. There's the old Joseph Smith BS. And crucifixion wasn't the worst death in the world, and it wasn't the most pain in the world to be crucified. He was evidently a common criminal. He had broken the laws, and the people, whether it was right or wrong, accused him. He may have been falsely accused, but we have falsely accused people here in the United States all the time. How does that make Jesus so much better and so much different? Well, there's a lot more that I just can't put together in my head and think, you know, this is a real story. It doesn't seem real to me. So I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to go ahead and stay atheist, but I'm going to live a good life. I want to be reasonable with people. I want to be loving and kind. I want to raise my kids properly, teach them the things of our society, and educate them in a way that they'll be acceptable. But I just wanted to go on record here. I have another tape on what turned me atheist. This one is a little more extensive and covers areas that wasn't there. So that's where I am. If you want to hate me, get in line. It's a long line.